What is going on, everyone? My name is Juan, and I am the owner of Barbosium Fitness and founder of the Conquer the Corona Challenge. And I'm back today with another follow-along style workout video that you can do at home or outside, and you can complete it anywhere without any equipment. I'm rocking the tie-dye in an attempt to brighten your day, as we all could use a little more laughter, especially during this time. Now, I promise to post a new video every day at 6:30 a.m. on this Facebook group for the next 3 weeks, and all I ask for in return is that you share this video with a friend so we can conquer the corona together. So save this video if you're going to be following along later, but for those of you that are ready to roll, ready to burn some goo, let's get started right now.
Alright guys, so warm-up wise here to kick things off for today, we're going to go shoulder circles. So palms are facing down, arms are nice and straight, and from here just trying to go nice tight circles going forward. So at the 30-second mark we will go ahead and switch, but for now we're going to go continue to go forward with every single rep that you're doing. Trying to keep everything nice and tight, breathing through, so still really focusing on keeping that body nice and straight as well. 2, 1, and let's go ahead and change direction. So we're going backwards. And by keeping that body straight, I mean let's try and keep those shoulders, hips, and ankles stacked over top of each other. Don't put a big arch in your lower back by keeping that midsection loose. Even though it's warm up, we really want to make sure that we're still stabilizing with that core. So squeeze that core, engage those glutes, and maintain a nice braced position while we're going through each of these warm-up movements. And in 3 seconds we'll transition to our next one. 2, 1, and we're switching it up here for our second movement of the set, which is going to be those shoulder taps. So from here I'm showing it from the modified position, which will be from the knees. So trying to keep the shoulders over the wrist and without really compensating or rotating, we're going to try and go opposite hand to opposite shoulder. Now I've popped up over here from the high plank position, and shortly I'll show you what that looks like from the side. Going from one side to the next, breathing, maintaining that steady tempo from one side to the next. So from here again, if you can stay upright in the high plank, stay there. If you're modified, then this is what we're going to be looking like. Coming down onto the knees, we're tapping that opposite shoulder with the opposite hand, trying to minimize the rotation that we have, breathing, working through, and if we can, trying to take it up from that high plank position. So this will be a little bit more challenging, but it's going to give a lot more activation as we get ourselves ready for our workout for today. And third movement here is just going to be squats, and you can see that it wasn't the driest, so I already got the mud on the knees. So hopefully you guys are in a much drier, warmer location than I was yesterday, but nonetheless sitting back in the heels. So as we take a look at the side profile here, use that for reference. We've got the knees behind the toes, all the weights back in the heels. We're trying to get down a little bit lower with every single rep that we're doing, maintaining a nice steady tempo as we close out a minute here of squats. So knees behind the toes, all the weights back in the heels. We're breathing, trying to maintain a nice steady tempo. Try not to let that chest drop down into your quads. So don't feel like you're leaning forward, like you're driving your weight onto your toes. But all that should be coming back into the heels, locking out at the top, and going right back into that next rep. About 5 seconds here, we'll transition to our next movement in the set. 2, 1, and we are live with side lunges. So from here, we're starting feet side by side. You're going to step out in a direction. The direction you're heading is where you're going to bend. So from here, if you're going to the right, you're going to bend into that right heel, and then we're going to kick back in one movement to those feet side by side and do the same thing from one side to the next. So the leg that's stationary, we're trying to keep nice and straight. The leg that is moving, that's the one that we're going to be bending and sitting into that heel. But coming back into this next one here, guys, working through, breathing. About 20 seconds left of side lunges, and then we'll transition to our final movement of the warm-up for today. About 15 seconds here. Breathing through, core's nice and tight, bracing from one to the next, last 10 seconds. Making sure that the leg that's stationary is staying straight through the entirety of that movement in and out. And last but not least, we're going to go into our jumping jack variation. So from here, if we got to modify it, it's what I'm showing you now. It's going to be the half jacks, or we're stepping out from one side to the next. So from here, you're going to go wider than shoulder width apart. You're going to touch those hands up top. You're going to go from one side to the next, reset those feet to center. But if you can, then we're going standard jumping jacks like I'm showing you here, which is just going to be jumping with those feet wider than shoulder width apart and touching those hands up top between every rep. We've got about 30 seconds here. Again, if you've got full jumping jacks, keep those going. If we are modifying, then that's what I'm showing you here, where we're going to be stepping wider than shoulder width apart, touching those hands up top, and continuing that progression through the last 18 seconds of the warm-up here. Breathing, finishing strong, last 10 seconds. Feet wider than shoulder width apart, touching those hands up top, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and recover. So get some water in you quick if you need it. The warm-up is complete, and I'm going to kind of cover what we've got for the workout today. But first, we have to unleash the Corona, man. So we're going to officially conquer the Corona with a descending drop set today. What the heck does that mean? Pretty much means that we're going to start with 50 reps of one movement, and you drop 10 reps as you progress from one movement to the next. So here they are, and I'll show you in the video when we get into them as well. You can feel free to pause the video if you want to take a little bit longer time looking at those progressions. But if you're ready to roll, if you're good to get started, we're going to start in 3 seconds here. 2, 1, and you are live with jump rope. Now I said there was no equipment. You do not need to use the jump rope here. You can do this with jumping jacks, but you're gonna go for 50 reps. And if you see that that is an interesting looking jump rope, it is a 2-pound cross rope. If you are interested in checking that out or more details, feel free to comment below, and I'll shoot you the link of cross rope and the Titan rope. The 2-pounder is a beast. But you're going for either 50 reps of jump rope and 50 reps of jumping jacks. Once you finish those, we're dropping 10 reps down in, so it's going to be 40 reps of squats. Again, especially as we are getting fatigued through this, do not shorthand that range of motion. So you're getting down to at least 90 as far as you can with every single one, keeping those knees behind the toes and keeping all of that weight back into the heels. So full lockout at the top. If we, in terms of our breathing, big breath in at the peak of that movement, exhale when you lock out, and try and keep that breath held and that core tight as you go through that range of motion. So as you're squatting and as you're coming back up, we should be with that breath held, that core tight, nice and braced. We're trying not to breathe as you're going through that range of motion. It's going to be a lot harder to keep that core stable and keep a good position if we start to collapse out of that midsection. All right, so 40 reps here of squats, closing out the last couple. Your next movement will be 30 repetitions of push-ups. So from here, I'm showing you from the knees and then from the standard position. So I'm showing you a couple modifications. If you don't have full push-ups yet, you can drop that down to the knees. Trying to squeeze those elbows in, keep that chin up, and from here, taking a look at the side profile, we're really getting a nice full range of motion, trying to keep everything nice and straight. As we come down, probably coming down probably an inch less than max, so I don't smash my chest into the mud on the bottom. But from this one here, guys, if you can go chest to deck, we can go all the way down. But if we don't have full push-ups yet, we can drop that down to the knees. The next one in the sequence is going to be burpees. Now, from here, I'm only going to be able to show you 2 variations. The first one I'm doing right now is step back burpees. So from there, you're stepping back to a plank, kicking those feet wider than shoulder width apart, and jumping and clapping overhead. Now, an intermediate variation of this is going to be kicking back and up in one movement for half burpees, which we're showing here. So the feet would go back to the plank, we come right back up, jumping and clapping overhead. And if you are proficient with this movement, you can do that full burpee where we're going to come and add the push-up at the bottom of the movement. I would have shown you all 3, but my TP Corona Conqueror would have been crushed with the mud underneath me, as it was definitely chewing it up throughout the workout. But again, here we're going for 20 repetitions. So we're going either step back burpees, which is just stepping both feet one after the other to that plank, feet wider than shoulder width apart on the way up and jumping and clapping overhead. Or what I'm showing you now here is those half burpees. If you've got full burpees, blast those out. Go ahead and drop that push up at the bottom of that movement here, guys. Breathing through and trying to transition as quick as you can from one to the next. The last one here, as I really get muddied up, is gonna be inchworms for 10 repetitions. So from here, we're working our way out to plank, coming back up, trying to stand all the way upright, trying to keep those legs as straight as we can throughout this movement. If you have any mobility issues, we can bend them on the way down, but trying to keep them nice and straight on the way back up. So as we come back through, trying to keep them straight, standing up all the way from one to the next, breathing, going through that interval, prepping, and pausing that one out. If this is too strenuous of a movement for you, you can go ahead and modify this down to shoulder taps. But for now, round one is complete. If you haven't completed this, go ahead and pause the video and finish out that descending rep, right? So this is gonna be, if you really got after it, unbroken, non-stop, this would be your ideal potential pace. But if you are still going, go ahead and pause the video right now and finish out the movements. Again, it's 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 of either jump rope, jumping jacks, your squats, push-ups, burpees, and inchworms. But whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and reset the timer and get back into that next round. So we're going for 2 to 3 rounds here, guys. I'm gonna go through 3 rounds again, so that you have that for reference. But take a sneak peek up if you can't remember what the sequence and what the order was. The first one, again, for 50 reps is gonna be the jump rope, or if you don't have a jump rope, jumping jacks. Again, I'm using the big old 2-pound Titan cross rope here. So if you want more info on that, feel free to shoot me a comment below and I'll get that over to you. But the second movement after you finish those is gonna be 40 reps of those squats, especially as we start to get into round 2, and particularly if we get into round 3, making sure that you are still sitting down deep into the heels with every single rep that you're doing. So the knees are gonna be behind the toes, all the weight's in the heels, and we're trying to get down at least to 90 with those knees on every single rep that we're doing. And as I finish 20 out here, I'll rotate and we'll do 20 from the opposite side. So looking back, trying to keep that chin up. If you are dropping that chest down and you end up looking down toward your feet, your tendency is going to be to shoot those the weight into your toes. If the weight's in your toes, your knees are likely coming forward. It's putting a lot of excess tension on your knees and using less muscles and more tendons and ligaments, which we don't want. So making sure that we're breaking at the hips first, sitting back in the heels, and you're going from one to the next. Again, these are going to be unbroken. If you need to pause as you need to, but really trying to establish a consistent tempo. So it's going to be better for you to slow down than it is to come to a complete stop for too long while you're going through the movements. So right now we're doing those push-ups. We're going for 30, coming down, nice lockout up top. Again, I'm probably coming about an inch less than what would be chest to deck here, so I can keep the shirt not a muddy mess. But from here, guys, if you can get that chest all the way down, go ahead and come all the way down with it. But the biggest thing with this is trying to keep those elbows squeezed in, trying to make sure that chin's slightly up and everything's nice and straight from our shoulders through your hips and to your ankles. The second to last one for 20 reps would be burpees. So from here, we can step back, come wider than shoulder width apart, kick those hands overhead. You can see those nice muddy knees again on my end. If you want to go a little bit intermediate through this, you can kick back and up in one movement for half burpees. And if you've got full burpees, add the push-up at the bottom and kick up. Again, didn't show that third one here so that I would not have become a completely muddy mess as I finished out this workout for you guys today. So from the side here, we can see that we're trying to step back, get into that plank position, going wider than shoulder width apart, and then bringing those hands overhead as we leave the ground. So if we're stepping, that'll be our level 1, our beginner progression. If we're ready for an intermediate progression, then we can kick those feet back and up in one movement, right? So kicking back and up, jumping and clapping overhead. And our advanced variation would be the full burpees, right? We're going all the way down with every single one. So we'd add the bottom of that push-up at the bottom of that movement. If you've got those, bust them out. If not, doing any of the other 2 modifications. And your last one would be those inchworms. So from here, you'd go out to plank. If you can, try and keep those legs nice and straight, especially on the way back up. If this is too strenuous of a movement, then go ahead and turn this into shoulder taps like we did for the warm-up, where we're gonna keep everything nice and straight in line and go opposite hand to opposite shoulder. But if we're going inchworms, here's the side profile. We'd work our way out to that plank position, standing all the way up between them, trying to keep those legs straight on the way back up. We got some uneven ground and fatigue kicking in, so we definitely could have kept those legs a little bit straighter on my end, but really trying to challenge the both the tempo, position, and then the lengthening of those legs on the way back. But go ahead and either, if you were going beast mode, we would have finished this one up now. If you are still going, go ahead and pause the video and finish those out. Again, it's that drop set, so we're descending from 50 to 40 to 30 to 20 and ending with 10 of your jump rope or jumping jacks into your squats, push-ups, burpees, and inchworms. All right, guys, so if you need more than 30 seconds, definitely take it. If you're just getting started with your fitness journey, definitely pause and take a longer interval, but we are trying to minimize rest. But if you're ready to go, back in business, then we would keep starting back up right now. So this is gonna be your last potential round. If you were a beginner, then we could have done 2 rounds, and that definitely would have been enough. This is more for my intermediate advanced crew to close out 3 full rounds of this workout for today, of this descending drop set. So we're going 50 reps of either jump rope or jumping jacks. Once we finish those, we're back in with 40 reps of squats. Now, if you're going into the third one, this is really one that I want you to focus on and make sure that you're not giving short, limited range of motion on your repetitions, but that you're still sitting deep, you're still sitting back in the heels with every single rep that you're doing throughout the course of those repetitions. So you're going 40 reps for squats. I'll show you here from the side profile again shortly, where we are sitting back in the heels. We're trying to get a 90-degree angle in the knees and making sure that we're keeping those knees behind the toes and sitting back in the heels as much as we can. If we start to feel that weight coming up onto the toes, it means that those knees are pushing forward, and we don't want to be doing that. It's going to start using more tendons, ligaments than your muscles that we're trying to target through this. So big breath in, trying to hold that through the range of motion. Inhale, exhale at the top with every one. So your next one would be those 30 reps of push-ups. Through this movement here, we can do it from the knees, or as I'm showing you now, we can go standard push-ups. For those that did the workout yesterday, we can do intermediate push-ups, where we would be coming down from the high plank and pushing up from the knees. Would be kind of an intermediate variation of that push variation. But for now, if we hadn't done that, or if you're unclear about what that is, then if we can't do the full push-ups through the sets, we'll drop that down to the knee position. Now, if you still can do a few push-ups at a time, they're just getting a lot harder, still do those. It's going to be a better workout for you. You're going to benefit from that more if you stick with that movement until really you're physically unable to get a single rep with some recovery between them. So it's going to be better to take a little bit longer recovery with those standard push-ups than the drop to the knees once you really start to feel that getting challenging. So final muddied up knee extravaganza here for burpees. You're doing 20 repetitions here. So stepping back, going wider than shoulder width apart up top, jumping and clapping overhead. We can kick back and up in one. And again, if you've got full burpees, put that push up at the bottom, get that chest all the way down to the ground between them. If not, then you can drop to either one of these variations. So we can either step back, we can jump back up and in, and we're rocking through these 20 repetitions. Breathing through, maintaining that nice steady tempo, whether we're doing step back, whether we're doing half burpees, or whether we're adding that push up and getting all the way down, trying to connect one rep to the next. Even if it's a little bit slower as we get into this third round, Still trying to get into a rhythm, trying to find a pace as we close out these 20 repetitions because we only got one more to go, and that's gonna be inchworms. So working our way out to plank, working our way up. Again, if you need to modify this movement, turn it into shoulder taps like we did for the warm-up, whether it's from the knee or that high plank position, nice and controlled. If you do this, touching both shoulders would count as 1 rep. So you'd go shoulder, shoulder, that would be 1, and you would go for 10 repetitions to close it out as a modification of this movement if this is too strenuous on either the wrist or the lower back. But standing all the way up between them, nice and tight, working out to that plank, we're going for 10. I got a few more good ones here to close this out. Last couple ones here, guys. And again, regardless of where you're at, feel free to pause the video once these rounds are complete until you are done, until you have caught up, until you finish that descending ladder. And with that, the workout is officially complete. You did it! You made it. You survived it. Now, since it was so muddy out, I did not do the cool down as it would require me to sit down for a portion of it, but go ahead and make sure that you're taking 3 minutes of time to do that cool down. Fire away with questions below in the comments if you've got them. And remember, we'll be back in at 6:30 a.m. tomorrow with another workout.